Hello friend, it's BAWLER again, and I have some exciting news for you. Please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think about it. Iran may have just made one of its gravest miscalculations to date, launching a direct missile strike on a US airbase in the Middle East. This unprecedented move crossed a red line and opened the door for President Donald Trump and the United States to potentially inflict a crippling blow to Iran's already weakened regime. Let's break down what exactly happened, what it means, and what could follow. Signs of a looming attack emerged early on Monday, June 23rd, when the US Embassy in Qatar issued an alert advising all American citizens to shelter in place. The UK Embassy echoed this warning, urging British nationals in Qatar to also remain indoors out of an abundance of caution. Soon after, Qatar responded by shutting down its airspace, with its Ministry of Foreign Affairs citing the need to protect residents, citizens, and travelers amid rising regional tensions. Flights were quickly diverted, signaling an imminent threat. Roughly an hour later, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian posted a chilling message on X, stating Iran did not seek war but would not let aggression against the great Iran go unanswered. Moments after his statement, Iran launched at least 10 ballistic missiles at Udeid Air Base, America's largest military installation in the Middle East, located near Doha. The base houses over 10,000 US, British, and Qatari troops and is home to US Central Command operations. As missiles crossed the Persian Gulf, residents of Doha witnessed terrifying scenes. Explosions echoed across the city, videos of mid-air detonations circulated online, and panicked civilians scrambled for cover in public places. Iranian state media quickly branded the operation a mighty response to US aggression and named it Operation Herald of Victory. Reports claimed that Iran had launched the same number of missiles as the bombs the US dropped on its nuclear sites just days earlier. Yet while Iranian outlets portrayed a triumphant narrative, Qatari authorities presented a different reality. Dr. Majid Al-Ansari, a spokesperson for Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, strongly condemned the attack, labeling it a blatant breach of sovereignty and international law. He confirmed that the Iranian missiles had been mostly intercepted by Qatari air defenses, aided by US Patriot systems. Fortunately, no casualties or injuries occurred, as the base had been preemptively evacuated. In the aftermath, several regional nations including Bahrain and Kuwait temporarily shut their airspace. Saudi Arabia and the UAE issued strong condemnations. Saudi Arabia denounced Iran's act as unjustifiable and in violation of international norms. The UAE called it a blatant violation of Qatari airspace and warned against any actions threatening regional stability. Egypt, Oman, and Lebanon echoed these sentiments and called for urgent de-escalation. At the US Ain al-Assad Air Base in Iraq, defense systems were activated amid fears of additional attacks, though none materialized. Eventually, normal air traffic resumed across Qatar and neighboring states, and the US Embassy lifted its shelter-in-place advisory. As tensions slowly settled, journalists began uncovering more surprising details. According to sources like the New York Times, Iran had warned both Qatar and the US in advance of the missile strike. Iran later stated that the targeted site was far from populated areas and posed no threat to Qatari civilians, emphasizing a desire to preserve relations with Doha. President Trump confirmed this, noting from the White House Situation Room that Iran's warning allowed effective US countermeasures. On Truth Social, he described Iran's response as very weak and fully countered, with 13 of 14 missiles intercepted. He thanked Iran for the forewarning, crediting it with preventing casualties, and expressed hope for future peace, urging Israel to also pursue harmony. He later thanked the Emir of Qatar for efforts to promote stability. However, this hopeful tone stood in sharp contrast to a message from Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who posted an image of a burning American flag with defiant remarks, asserting that Iran would neither tolerate nor surrender to foreign aggression. These opposing stances underscore the uncertainty ahead. Despite Trump's peaceful rhetoric, the US could still retaliate given the attack on its assets. With unmatched military capabilities, the US could decimate Iran's nuclear infrastructure in minutes, as seen during Operation Midnight Hammer. Trump has repeatedly warned Iran against attacking US targets, stating that any retaliation would be met with overwhelming force. Just one day before the Iranian missile strike, Trump delivered a stern address warning Iran of catastrophic consequences if it rejected peace. He emphasized that future US responses would be swifter and more destructive. That same night, he posted again on Truth Social, reiterating that any attack by Iran would provoke a vastly stronger American response. Although Trump's tone softened post-strike, likely because no Americans were harmed, there remains a possibility of policy reversal if Iran escalates further. Earlier in 2025, Trump had advocated for diplomacy, urging Israel to refrain from attacks and expressing hope for negotiations. However, after Iran's apparent unwillingness to halt its nuclear ambitions, he ordered Operation Midnight Hammer, a direct assault on Iran's nuclear facilities using B-2 bombers and bunker-busting ordnance. This demonstrates Trump's capacity to shift rapidly between diplomacy and force. His current calls for peace may not last if Iran continues its aggression. Yet there's also a genuine possibility that both sides prefer de-escalation. Many analysts believe Iran's strike was a symbolic gesture to save face domestically without inflicting real damage, hence the prior warnings. A similar event occurred in 2020 after the killing of Qasem Soleimani. Iran launched missiles at US bases in Iraq after alerting Iraqi officials, leading to minimal American retaliation. Sanctions followed, but not war. World leaders now hope for a repeat. Calm, not chaos. French President Emmanuel Macron posted solidarity with Qatar and called for de-escalation. Iraq emphasized diplomacy over conflict. Even Russia urged restraint, calling for an end to provocations and adherence to international law, while simultaneously accusing the US and Israel of unjust aggression. Despite such calls, Iran doesn't seem to be backing down. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi defended the attack as a response to US violations and warned of further retaliation. A senior Iranian official told CNN that Iran was preparing for escalated strikes and had no interest in hearing Western lies. If Iran follows through, it risks drawing itself into a full-scale war it cannot win. Whether the crisis spirals or settles now depends on what Tehran does next. For more analysis, check our deep dive on Operation Midnight Hammer and explore how Iran may have already lost the war through strategic missteps and overwhelming opposition from the US and Israel.